Good morning and welcome back towards another video, and today is a nice little update between 𝐆𝐀𝐿 as a whole. Let us begin. Okay, so today I want to go over a load of updates because there is a ton to go over, and basically I wanted to make a video on it because I rarely talk about any of my other projects, and quite frankly I am daily with the gold making, so I think I can allow myself to do a video on the updates because, to quite frank, I am very happy about them. The latest manga has been updated on the website. It's totally free for anyone to use. It's 𝐆𝐀𝐿 At the moment, Androl is fighting Gordros, which is the first boss of the Void Edge of Existence game, which I brought out in January. Really happy with all of that, and it actually shows the actual fight as a whole. So if you ever have actually played the game, you can see what's actually happening in the manga along with the game, and it's pretty cool. That means I can tell the story even better, and it gives a bit more depth towards the game by producing the manga at the same time. It just adds to that effect. And other than that, the next page of the manga could be out, and it will be just underneath this one by the time that this video goes out. However, just overall very happy on the way things are going with the manga. Anyone can read it. There's quite a few pages to actually go over. It's like at least a couple of chapters for anyone to read, which then brings us into our continuation story of everything. Void has been out for quite a while, and that's over 6 months now. So at the moment I'm just mainly bug fixing, patching and all that stuff, and it's quite frankly, if I want this to actually, my end goal to actually make an entertainment studio, not just game development, I'm going to be producing my next game. This one is going to be called Mistful. I detailed this on my private Discord server to a few of my friends, and this one's going to be a 2.5D game. However, we can't use 2D HD because Square Enix has the copyright to that, and basically you can't use it, but it's pretty much the same art style. It's 2D pixels in a 3D world. This one's going to be a 2.5D RPG builder simulation game, somewhat. The world will auto-generate itself, the trees will regrow and build homes and houses and explore the lands and all that stuff. Put it simply, if you want to be a farmer, you can be a farmer. If you want to build your own town out and have your own little militia or army to go with, then you can. If you want to control the economy, you can. And the next thing is, if you just want to go on an adventure, then fair enough, you can do that. That's the main goal with Mistful. It's basically give everyone the tools to do what they would like to do in a very chilled out manner. Void was very fast paced, oh it's the end of the world, but on a day-to-day basis within Void, I really want to get across the Void universe as a whole. On the day-to-day basis, regular people don't really do any of that stuff. Like, they're not in the military, they're not going crazy and all that, and I want to get that across. So Mistful is that as a whole, where you are basically a single person and you just decide on what you would like to prefer doing. So the exposition for this, Void is not all chaos and wars. Some live out their lives in quiet peace, in quiet peacefully, or some go on adventures. The aim is to provide the tools to create your own world on Mistful. The main goal for this is to basically build out a demo within the next couple of weeks and release that to you guys. It'll be totally free, it's a demo, and then I can actually iterate and build upon it. So if you're interested in this, I can actually get more feedback and then we can make the game even better. And I would love a positive feedback loop when it comes towards everything. It just makes generally more sense, because the more feedback I get, the more I can attune everything before release, instead of Void where I kept it to myself and then released it. It didn't really work out that well. So lesson well learnt. Along with that, I plan on bringing out the demo with a load of different types of all of the systems fleshed out. It's just a case of the amount of on those systems. So with the Enchanted Forest, that will be one zone that you'll have on the demo, along with being able to have the port town for trade and all of that jazz. It's so you at least have 2 zones on the demo to actually play around with and deal with and all that jazz. The idea is the next thing is the crafting system. I've actually done the crafting system. I just need to add 10 ton of stuff to it. The building system pretty much done, along with the combat system. That one isn't done at this moment in time. I'm just working on figuring out the harder parts to this, which is basically the main core systems, and just making those as tight as possible so they're good. And then the day-night system has already been done, because I would love different types of effects. Like if you are going to tame a pet to be your follower and you want a bat, it's going to have to be nighttime where the bats come out and the pigeons disappear. That is the type of thing that I love when it comes towards all of that jazz. When it comes towards simulated creatures, we already have those, and I'll detail that for you in a moment. And then townsfolk AI, I would love them to be more human-esque. Like if they are hungry, they'll go to the shop. If they are sleepy, they will go to sleep. And if they have a job, they will go work. And they can determine it for themselves. The computer will actually do everything for you while you're in the game. It simulates it. It's a simulation game, so you have to have those core components for all of that stuff to build that out. And I'm really looking forward to this, because I will show you in a moment where Mistful generally will be. But other than that, I need a simple tutorial to go over everything, and then the world is your oyster. When it comes towards everything else, when you load into the game at this moment in time, the things are the foxes, which already have their wildlife component. I named it wildlife component because it just makes sense. Basically, these foxes will go to water if they're thirsty. They'll go to sleep if they're tired. And if they're hungry, they'll chase that bloomin' rabbit that's right behind me. And they'll try and eat it, much like a fox would. Along with that, you also have flying pigeons in the background. If we run over here, they're pigeons. They do their thing. And along with that, you also have the water basics. Like, remember, this is just like 1 week's worth of dev, so I'm still working on it. But most of the core systems have actually been worked out, much like the crafting system. Now, the user interface isn't like crazy good or anything. It's kind of hard to read, but for me, it works at this moment in time until I have to adapt it. The basic campfire, you need 6 wood at the moment and 1 flint, and it will tell you your current that you've actually got in use at this moment in time. If you can actually craft said item and you've got a load on your person, then it will pop up from red to green that you can actually craft that item. Drop down list for what you want to craft, and then I'm probably going to add another little one for selecting specifics. So like if you wanted to build a town hall, you can by just going over to buildings and then go down to the drop down list and click town hall. That's so I can add more content and you can filter it much easier. In general, if we go into our inventory is pretty much done. I've also added the ability of having a guild bank, so you can have extra storage space and you can just save that on your person, and you can have as many of those as possible as you want, just to store things in your own house. The idea is to make sure that you have your own player housing on the demo as well. Even if it's just a rudimentary one, we can just update and keep using that feedback loop. That's the whole plan of it. I really like this idea, and if you want to use the wood, you can just add wood to your main core things. The main resources is lumber, ore, and gold. Those are your keynote ones. So if we actually move in the game and we go over to these little rudimentary houses that I've actually built up, that if you have too much ore but you don't have a lot of wood, then you can just create a stone barn for yourself, or if you have a lot of lumber, you can build a lumber barn, and they'll have different characteristics and properties to go alongside that to actually build those out. So it gives you the option to do either or. Along with that, gold will obviously be a factor, and you can buy stuff from like the the towns and just keep the economy going. Along with that, the water at the moment, you do not drown. You can walk on top of it at the moment. But alongside that, that is basically a week's worth of dev on Mistful. I'm working it out. I really like the aesthetic of 2D sprites in a 3D world. Collisions have been turned off. And if you go over to the actual item at this moment in time, the trees are actually blocking it, but you can actually cut down trees with your 1 key, which will be able to be re-key bind and all that stuff, and then 2 to pick it up. And then you can add more lumber to your items and then just add that into the game as a whole. And that's how you can do that. Obviously, there will be animations and an axe to actually use it, but at the moment, I can't do everything in 1 week. That's just a bit crazy. I did do the fireflies, which are attached to some trees, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of getting, like, you capture some fireflies and then add that into a lantern, and you got a firefly lantern, and then you can add that into your town, and it will give it a bit more of a homely feel, if you want. That being said, I'm using a lot of basic assets at this moment in time, and we'll have to redo a load of them, but this is just to give a premise on that. To go alongside that, I really want to build out the world of Void as a whole, with more games and the manga as a continuation. Along with that, we also have the world map, which at this moment in time, if you've played Void, the Battle of Thorns at the beginning, where Andril dies and then goes to Zeros, the world of undeath. Andril actually goes to Aldora, which is just here. He actually died on this one here, which is Shaldara. And then his actual birthplace is at Telandar village, which is on the Ironian continent. I've fleshed out basically all of this, and if you watched on my second channel, the Quilnar Desert, which is the Quilnari language I have actually created to go alongside that, which is a cross between runes and hieroglyphics, and you can actually, and then we can actually build that out as well. So the runes are in there. They're also in Void. If you have the runes, the tablet of decode, you can actually work out what one each one says. Along with that, that's basically everything. And I really wanted to just keynote everything, like as a whole, like what's actually going about, what am I actually doing on everything going forward. And alongside this, I might actually just keep updating you guys with just like once a week, as I'm already like daily anyway. Just take once a week talking about all the other projects that I'm working on at this moment in time, just ultimately focusing on everything like crazy. That being said, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Other than that, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.